Okay, so I need to table a few caveats first about this video. When I'm talking about relationships here, I'm chiefly talking about sexual or romantic relationships. Of course, there's many other different types of relationships that are abound, many of which are subject to various ideas of masculinity as well. I mean, one needs to only look at certain kinds of quasi-autistic forms of communication between some male friends to see that there's a lot of understandings of masculinity going on under the surface, or indeed the sometimes fraught relationships between platonic friends, men and women. But I'm not talking about normal friendships like that. We're talking about sexual relationships. Another caveat that I'd like to table here is that I'm talking in terms of heterosexual relationships, which of course is problematic in itself, in as much as I've cut out, I don't know, depending on who you believe, somewhere between 2 and 10% of the population who don't perceive themselves to be straight. However, when we move into the analysis section of the relationships, we'll find some comments that are really applicable to both men and women, whether or not they're gay or straight. And I suppose out of that we can derive a few things in itself about my understanding of how masculinity functions and about how relationships function here, in as much as I tend not to think that there's a whole lot of difference going on between men, whether or not they're gay and straight within a particular relationship. So I think the way that they view them tends to, well, they're not the same, but they're not different because they're gay or straight. And in the same way, I don't believe that the way people see relationships, whether or not they're a man or a woman, makes a whole lot of difference. Now, the important thing that I'd like you to take away from that comment is that doesn't mean that I believe everybody is the same, that there's some kind of, vanilla or beige reality that we're all subject to, rather that everyone is different. Again, we're kind of back to that analogy of the fingerprint. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own unique construction. So when I problematize those differences between gay and straight, or men and women, I'm not saying that everyone is the same. Rather, I'm saying that everyone is absolutely different, and they shouldn't be categorized as either having the archetypal characteristics of somebody who's gay or straight, man or a woman. So, caveats tabled. In this video we're going to look at how relationships pan out in 2 books, and again, don't think about these books as just reviews of books. This is about how we can look at these texts and see how various themes within normative masculinity are presented, and then you can go and recognize and identify those themes in your regular lives. But the 2 books that we're going to be looking at in this particular context are a book by David D'Angelo called Double Your Dating: What Every Man Should Know About Being Successful with Women. That's the first book we're going to be looking at. And the second book that we're going to be looking at is a very famous book by John Gray, which is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, a practical guide for improving your communication and getting what you want. That's the subtitle for that one. So whereas D'Angelo looks at the initial dynamics of getting to know your partner and how you to secure that partner, or partners in the plural, John Gray's book moves on into how you go about establishing a more ongoing relationship.